Yo, what's up? Welcome to Numbers with Ace Jacari. I'm your host, Ace Jacari, but you already know, call me Ace. And in this episode, we're breaking down the number 9, not only its ruler, but its meaning and area of life, and also what comes with it when it comes to your chart, because 9 is more than just endings and completion. There's so many cool things with the number 9, starting with its rulership. So 9 is ruled by Mars and Neptune. Mars highlighting themes around passion and ambition, drive, determination, action, and stamina. But also on the other side, we have impulsivity, themes around violence, conflict, recklessness, impatience. All of a little bit of chaos, if you will. Now, the Neptune rulership that you don't really typically hear 9 spoken about, that brings in the imagination and the creativity and the love of nostalgia and fantasy and compassion, but also levels of confusion, delusion, detachment, addiction, and deception. Now, when we look at the area of life that 9 highlights, we have the unconscious, we have endings, we have the unknown, and freedom in and of itself. So when we look at the energy of the number 9, we have this very passionate, confident energy that's very dutiful and very growth focused or very change oriented. It's also very transformative, and it transmutes really naturally, transmutes this power and becomes more powerful in its transmutation and in its growth. And there's also a calculated, rebellious energy to it, of just it can be very focused and dialed in, but also sort of kind of just blow it all up if you need to. So there's also that brings up the impulsive and reckless and destructive side. And sometimes it can be a little bit insensitive. It's sort of kind of fuck how you feel a little bit, but it also can be hyperactive and unstable, as well as a little bit of avoidant and dissociated, which I feel is very highlighted by that Neptune rulership, as well as a little bit of scattered and jealous. Now, it does have some similarities to 3 and 7 via rulership. 3 is also ruled by Mars, as well as Venus and Jupiter. And then 7 is ruled by Neptune, as well as Ketu, the South Node, and Mercury. So, there's a little bit of similarity in that. Now, when it gets to your chart, how it shows up would be in the psychic destiny or name number. That psychic number is based off the day that you're born. So if you're born on the 9th, the 18th, or the 27th, you have a psychic number 9. That destiny number, also called your life path or Vedic number, can be a 9. And this is highlighting things of your long term, whereas a psychic number is highlighting things that are a little bit more immediate and things that you can be consciously aware of. So your destiny number is bringing in things that are destined or fated to happen and things that you can't even escape, as well as the overall path that your life will take. Now, your name number highlights the way that other people will see you and therefore interact with you. Now, I do like a lot of name number 9s. I think it's really cool. But when we look at 9 in regards to its embodiment on a psychological side, these tend to be ambitious or passionate or multi-talented energies. And this is because of not only the Neptune rulership, but the passionate energy of 9 in that Mars rulership. It likes to do, it likes to experience, it likes to explore, and that can be translated into being very creative, especially with that Neptune rulership highlighting levels of nostalgia and the past and things that are familiar, creating spaces that are formed around that comfortability and that familiarity tends to be highlighted in something in regards to the things that 9 loves to do. 9 has a very childlike spirit, and it likes to play a lot, and that comes into that passionate, multi-talented, and ambitious energy of it just wants to try a little bit of everything, a little bit of an adrenaline junkie, if you will. And that brings also the excitable, childlike, and playful energy, because 9 is very naturally curious and adventurous. Now, if you are liking what you're hearing, make sure you share this on your socials and tag me at Numbers with Ace Jacari on Instagram or TikTok, and book your free consultation to begin understanding your personal numerology, definitely more in depth. All the direct links are in the description of this episode. But back to the number 9. Like I was saying, it's very naturally curious and adventurous. It loves to explore, it likes to see, it wants to know, it wants to understand. And that highlights also the connection to mental health that it has. And this highlights the dissociated side of, because 9 is very aware, and when we're understanding numbers behaviors, we also look at the numbers that its relationship with other numbers, especially in regards to reflections and patterns. We're going to just talk about reflections just now, but one of the things that the reflection between 1 and 9 highlight is awareness. So 9 is very much aware. So when there's so much going on and you're taking in so much information, sometimes you just want to get away. You want to escape a little bit. And that definitely is highlighted in the number 9 of that escapism. But sometimes you don't always intentionally or safely escape. Sometimes it's dissociation. Sometimes it's just ignoring or avoiding and not really always getting to the root of the issue. It's just like, okay, I see something over there, but my eyes are closed, so it's not actually there. And sometimes what can happen with 9, it can be a little bit of restless and avoidant and, like I'm saying, dissociated in its approach to things around emotions or even levels of change. Even though 9 has a very change-focused energy, it can also be very stubborn when it comes to change. And I think this is something that's very much highlighted by my technique of natural order, with it having 8 over the number 9 in that chart. So that would put it in a position where when it comes to themes around the unknown, the unconscious, and freedom and change, in regards to that transformative change, 8 is very slow moving. It's very patient, it's very steady, and it likes to take its time. But it doesn't mean that it's always taking its time in a beneficial way. It can sometimes just be like, I'm not gonna move because I don't want to move. It's very much because I don't want to. And that can be detrimental to 9 because in being so transformative and movement focused, it's best to do some form of movement. This is why themes around working out or dancing or moving the physical body are so beneficial to the number 9 because of the energy that is always moving. It doesn't only have the just natural energetic movement of that Mars, but it also has that mental and spiritual movement of that Neptune rulership. So it's very important for it to be able to adapt and for it to be able to change and for it to be, in a sense, fluid, which I also think highlights its similarities to the number 2, because 2 and 9 in the technique of natural order have very similar charts. They're just reversed a little bit, if you will. And that also highlights 9's naturally caring and generous and dutiful nature, similar to the number 2, and because it does whatever needs to be done. And this isn't every case, but its driving force, similar to the number 2 that also has a very strong driving force, is really what is pushing it because it's its driving force. But its driving force is this desire for freedom, this desire for, it's an escape of some sort. It's trying to get there, wherever there is. Whereas 2's driving force is more community connection. 9 is more, I just want to go somewhere, be something elsewhere, of going on or going away somewhere to something. It's very much the energy of 9. But when we look at when it does care, it's very likely that it's very on top of the people that they care about. When they do care, they care very, very deeply. And this can show very much in relationships, especially the romantic side of psychic 9s tend to lean very heavily into partnerships that they want to do the best that they can for good reason. But there's a levels of perfectionism in there, and that can impact other relationships negatively. But that's a conversation for another day. Now, 9 can also be very destructive, but not only, and that's because of the Mars rulership that it has, again, of it's very reckless. And again, when you're taking in so much information, that doesn't always translate well on a psychological side. So mental health can decline, as well as lashing out can increase in some way, shape, or form of, I don't want to do this, I don't feel free, I don't feel like I have the ability to explore the way I want to explore, and therefore I'm shutting down. So it's very crucial for 9 to be able to indulge in its freedom-seeking nature and its imagination so that it can explore, it can be free, and adapt to the way that the world is currently set up until we get this thing straightened out. But when we look at public figures who have 9 dominantly, what was the word I was going for there? Dominantly in their chart, we have a couple. So for psychic 9s, we have Lil Nas X, who's born on April 9th, Michael Jordan, who's born on February 9th, Billie Eilish, who's born on December 18th, Queen Latifah, who's born on March 18th, and then Lil Wayne, who's born on September 27th. So again, anybody who would be a psychic 9 would be anybody born on the 9th, the 18th, or the 27th. So you might be able to look at some of their work to be able, as somebody who has a 9, you might be able to see some of their work or some of their life experiences and be like, hey, that happened to me too. It's sort of kind of just a 9 thing, if you will. Now, when we look at Destiny number 9s, we have Janae Aiko. We also have, which is a 9 simplified from a 36. We also have Kehlani, which is a 9 simplified from an 18. We have Masego, which is a 9 simplified from a 36. We also have Elvis Presley and Bob Marley, who are both exalted 9 simplified from 27. And that typically is highlighted of the path that their life will take. So I would say look into these people whose what path have their lives taken? What does it look like? These are, yes, musicians, so it's a little bit more niche down. But look at their interviews. Look at what experiences that they've had, the growth process, and all of those things. Because that might give you a little bit of insight into how the path of their life really played out, and might give you insight into yours. Now, you also have name number 9s. We have Lala Anthony, who's a 9 simplified from a 36. We have Madonna, which is an exalted 9 simplified from a 27. Bob Marley, again, who's a exalted 9 simplified from a 27. And then Nas, which is a pure 9. So all of these people have 9 in their charts, so I do recommend you look into them. But let me know if you have any 9s in your numbers and how this resonated. And also send this to anybody who has any dominant 9 placements. But thank you so much for listening. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Numbers with Jacari, and check out my services. And I will catch you in the next one.